Hello, I'm Kerry Shamblin, and I practice jyotisha, also known as Vedic Astrology. I have been offering a monthly forecast since 1999 where I track how the planets are moving through the sky and how they may be affecting our life on Earth. I also work directly with others through counseling, teaching, and mentoring. This is Kerry bringing you the Vedic Astrology forecast for April 2026. Let us start with a summary from the 9 planets. The Sun. The Sun completes his journey through Pisces under Saturn's watch, finishing cycles and dissolving what can no longer be carried forward. Mid-month, he moves into exaltation in Aries, shifting the focus toward action, renewal, and decisive forward motion. The transition marks a movement from surrender to initiation. The Moon. The Moon opens the month with a full moon in Virgo on April 1st, highlighting the tension between practical reality and the need to release control. The new moon in Aries on April 17th plants seeds for bold new beginnings, though not without pressure from surrounding planetary forces. Emotional rhythms move from overwhelm toward focused intention. Mars. Mars enters Pisces and immediately engages with Saturn, creating tension around how and when to apply force. Strategy becomes essential, as impulsive action can lead to wasted energy or conflict. As Mars navigates this terrain, disciplined effort and restraint will determine outcomes. Mercury. Mercury moves away from Rahu's influence and into Pisces, where clarity can be harder to access, but deeper insight becomes available. The conjunction with Mars and Saturn mid-month intensifies mental pressure, demanding careful analysis and thoughtful communication. Decisions made now carry weight and require patience. Jupiter. Jupiter continues forward in Gemini, supporting growth through learning, perspective, and adaptability. His exchange with Mercury offers an opportunity to bring wisdom into complex situations, even when clarity feels elusive. There is support here for thoughtful expansion rooted in experience. Venus. Venus transitions from the intensity of Aries into her home sign of Taurus, restoring stability, connection, and nourishment. After navigating transformative and sometimes volatile relational dynamics, this shift on April 19th brings grounding and a return to what is simple, steady, and sustaining. Saturn. Saturn remains a central force in Pisces, holding the line on accountability, patience, and long-term consequence. His interactions with Mars and Mercury create pressure that demands maturity and careful navigation. The work here is steady, requiring endurance and responsibility. Rahu, the north node of the moon. Rahu continues to stir unconventional and destabilizing energy from Aquarius, though its grip loosens as planets move away. The intensity remains in the background, influencing thought patterns and collective dynamics. Awareness helps prevent reactive or scattered responses. Ketu, the south node. Ketu in Leo continues to reflect themes of detachment from ego, recognition, and outward validation. As other planetary pressures build, Ketu serves as an anchor point, reminding us to turn inward and release what cannot be controlled. There is quiet strength in withdrawal and perspective. For an in-depth analysis, please continue listening to the full planetary forecast. Full moon in Virgo, Hasta Nakshatra on April 1st. The first day of April brings us a full moon at 19 degrees Virgo, opposite the sun at 19 degrees Pisces, pulling together the universal sign of dissolution and the earthbound arena of pivoting to kick off a month that points toward combining the energy of loose ends that need to be tied with a determined push toward working with what we have to create a whole new set of projects. Mercury plays a pivotal background role in this full moon as ruler of Virgo, where the moon becomes full, and as the nakshatra ruler of Revati, where the sun is placed. Mercury's current placement is still very near to fast and loose Rahu in Aquarius, although the distance between the wild card energy of Rahu and Mercury's forward press is growing. For 3 consecutive calendar months, we will get full moons on the 1st, April 1st in Virgo, May 1st in Libra, and June 1st in Scorpio. Not too much of an astrological interpretation here. Just interesting that the beginning of the calendar month gets the full energy of the bright moon, perhaps signaling a rhythm to the Western calendar months that start off strong, settle and ebb in the middle, and build back up as the month ends and turns the page. The story of April, starting with the full moon in Virgo and Hasta, opposite Saturn, could show a deep desire to find footing amidst a seemingly endless set of bigger and bigger waves that seem like the universe pushing us around as we desperately cling to a life raft. The Pisces piece of this story will continue to be a moving backdrop through the month, with Mars and then Mercury entering and then rushing forward for a dramatic conjunction with Saturn from April 19th through the 21st. Steady hands and a steady mind will be welcome allies this month. Mars transits Pisces on April 2nd through May 10th. After the moon peaks in opposition with the sun on the evening of April 1, Mars slides into the watery realm of Pisces early on April 2nd, joining the pairing of Sun and Saturn, who are also sliding apart quickly, loosening a tension that was marked during the last week of March. Mars's natural tendency is power management, and through Mars we seek resources, plan with strategy, and aim our firepower toward goals that will protect our well-being. When done with wisdom, deploying Mars's fire can accomplish those goals. When done with fear and desperation, we can dissipate our power and energy through violence and unfounded aggression. In many cases, we rely on good guidance for Mars from Jupiter. Pisces is Jupiter's wise and expansive water sign, giving all of the planets transiting there the benefit of a wide base of wisdom gleaned from education and experience. Out of Jupiter's 2 signs, Pisces is the less directed, showing more of a big picture, expansive environment, and likely less able to precisely guide Mars, who will also be approaching Saturn as he moves into Pisces. On April 10th, Mercury joins Mars and Saturn in Pisces, perhaps giving a bit more intelligence to Mars's moves, as this creates an exchange of signs between Jupiter and Mercury. Planets occupying their own signs or signs of exaltation are well abled to produce desired results. Planets in Parivartana, an exchange of signs, are similarly well prepared to deliver. Mercury transiting Pisces, Jupiter's sign, while Jupiter is in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign, could help us to analyze data with more depth and from a different angle. This increase in perspective could be helpful as the 3 planets in Pisces conjoin simultaneously in the middle degrees of Pisces from April 19th through the 21st, creating a dynamic environment that sees Mercury, Mars, and Saturn stack up to create both short and long-term consequences from a foundational shakedown. The advice for this Mars transit through Pisces from April 2nd through May 10th is to carefully analyze data. Plan strategically with the information you have, draw on past experience, and hold your fire until you are sure the right target is lined up. The forward-moving, confident energy of Mars can be jarring as it confronts the tentative and conservative energy of Saturn. Be sure at any given moment whether your foot is on the accelerator or on the brake pedal to avoid whiplash. Mercury transits Pisces April 10th through the 29th. Mercury is moving quickly, putting distance between himself and Rahu during the first week of April, giving us some increased ability for analyzing potential outcomes, with the result of making more informed decisions. By April 10th, quick-footed Mercury plunges into Pisces, where he rushes toward both Saturn and Mars, forming a triple conjunction at 14 degrees Pisces on April 19th. Mercury is considered to be in debilitated status in Pisces, making our perspectives multiple but not necessarily clear. As the ruler of communication and transaction, Mercury struggles to produce clear messaging, while in the choppy, expansive, and oceanic spread of Jupiter's Pisces, where the universal collection of all knowledge and experience resides, making it difficult to know which way to turn at any given time. What helps a great deal with this situation is the aforementioned exchange of signs between Jupiter and Mercury, bringing some of the quick-thinking intelligence back into Mercury function due to Jupiter's occupation of Gemini, the air sign ruled by Mercury. Think back to early March, when both Jupiter and Mercury were in retrograde motion, with Mercury drunk on Rahu's influence. We may be dealing with the consequences of some of the decisions made during that time, as we see Mercury moving through Pisces, finishing business by rooting into deep foundations that are difficult to contact, but alas, could be the only source of stable decision-making. Kala Amrita Yoga from April through June. Between April 10th, when Mercury departs Aquarius, leaving Rahu alone there, and August 1st, when Venus moves out of Leo and into Virgo, leaving Ketu alone in Leo, we will experience a series of pulsations of a planetary combination known as Kala Amrita Yoga, which is a counterpart of the more recognizable combination known as Kala Sarpa Yoga. Both of these combinations have to do with the visible planets all being hemmed on one side of the nodal axis, which is defined as the head, Rahu, and tail, Ketu, of the celestial serpent. Kala indicates time. Sarpa indicates serpent. Amrita indicates immortality. And yoga indicates combination. When all of the planets, aside from the nodes, are on one side of the nodal axis and heading toward Rahu, we call this Kala Sarpa Yoga. When all of the planets, aside from the nodes, are on the other side of the nodal axis and heading forward toward Ketu, we call this Kala Amrita Yoga. When Mercury departs Rahu's current location in Aquarius, all of the planets will be hemmed on the side of the nodal axis that moves toward Ketu, save for the Moon, who will escape this bind for one fortnight per month, until one of the other planets escapes the bind. In this case, it will be Venus, moving past K2 in July and into Virgo on August 1st. The combination is considered full or complete when all of the planets occupy the 5 signs between the axis, with none of the planets joining either Rahu or Ketu. When a planet or planets does join one of the nodes, this combination is considered breakable by that planet or planets. When the combination is in full status, it indicates conditions for fate to prevail over the exercise of free will. Here are the upcoming date ranges for the full experience of Kala Amrita Yoga. From April 14th through the 25th, May 12th through the 22nd, and June 8th through the 18th. From July 6th through the 16th, we will experience a partial combination due to Venus joining Ketu in Leo on July 4th. But how do we apply this information? First, we draw most of our jyotish wisdom from ancient scriptures that have been handed down through the millennia. Nowhere in those written texts is this combination mentioned. But the modern mind can't help but notice that all of the visible planets being hemmed to one side of the shadow-driven eclipse, causing nodal axis, does produce some lopsided energy. With the nodal axis's main symbolism coming in the form of shadow obscuring light, it brings the energy of earthly limitations impeding on the expansive cosmic lumination. With the designation of Kala Amrita Yoga during these sessions, we have the planets rushing the gate toward Ketu, the planet that signifies the duality of obstruction and liberation. What we may experience during these pulses of Kala Amrita Yoga are an intensification of the feeling of being bound, limited, or obstructed, forcing us to face the physical reality of having to sit, wait, and bide our time, facing the frustration of uninvited obstacles. During the in-between times, when the moon joins the nodes and then traverses the empty part of the sky, we may get more perspective about how to navigate the obstructions, perhaps gaining some modicum of liberation from them step by step. July could be the breakthrough month, with Venus and its insistence on flow moving into Ketu's territory, showing us the way to heal and move forward with a little light. Note that we also experience a Mercury retrograde cycle from June 29th through July 23rd, adding to that wacky energy and inviting an unconventional approach to problem solving during July. Sun transits Aries April 14th through May 14th. In March, the Sun made his annual conjunction with Saturn, this time in Pisces, which will also be the case in 2027 due to Saturn's pattern of staying 2.5 to 3 years in each sign. The Sun and Saturn represent a spectrum of self-regard, where the Sun focuses on individual agenda, perception, and achievement. Saturn minimizes individuality, while recognizing that self-identification comes with the burden of responsibility for personal action and desire, something that we recognize as the concept of karma. As you sow, so shall you reap. When these two planets conjoin each year, we can experience tension between personal agendas and collective welfare in some form, whether it be on the large stage of the world or within our personal spheres. The sign where this occurs will be the one getting Saturn's attention through his slow transit, The house where this happens in your individual chart could show what division of your life you will feel this friction each year. This tension is already easing as April begins and the Sun moves further away from Saturn toward the late degrees of Pisces, allowing us to finish up business and let wash away what needs to go. Revati Nakshatra marks the last section of Pisces, which is where the Sun moves through from April 1st through the 13th. Pushan is the deity that presides over this little slice of the star space, urging us to gather our resources, feed others, and find protection that extends beyond ourselves to the benefit of all. The sense of guidance and safety on our journeys comes strongly through the first 2 weeks of April, as the Sun traverses the final section of the final sign of the zodiac, bringing us solidly into the spring season. The Sun leaves behind the group of planets still holding space in Pisces, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. This indicates that while our attention moves forward into pioneering through new territory, we are still taxed with juggling the consequences of prior actions. From April 14th through May 14th, the Sun transits Aries, the fire sign ruled by Mars, where the Sun reaches its state of exaltation. This is our collective and individual attention focused on what's next, what's new, and what is crucial to confront. With Venus leading the pack of faster-moving planets, having forged into Aries on March 25th, our intentions for creating collective welfare and making connections that support families could be paramount. Venus moves through the final degrees of Aries as the Sun establishes his power, exiting to her own sign of Taurus on April 19th and giving the stage to the Sun for the remainder of his transit there. The exalted Sun in Aries shines strongly during the latter half of April, moving through Ashwini Nakshatra and urging us to make changes that bring radical healing to what has been fractured or destroyed. This is the beginning of a 6-month journey that starts with the Sun in powerful exaltation, exact on April 23rd, and ends in late October when the Sun moves through its debilitation point in Libra on October 27th. As you plan your personal trajectory for this period, find the balance between what you want and what is possible to accomplish, and what can actually be done in the face of past responsibilities with available resources. Think about how your actions will ripple into the collective and how that will play out in the long run. Avoid selfish and aggressive decisions that may come back to bite you. New moon in Aries, Ashwini, April 17th. Just as the Sun gets comfortable in Aries, the waning moon slides into his orb, disappearing for a day as we experience the new moon at 4 degrees Aries, in the first slice of the zodiac known as Ashwini Nakshatra. Take the advice given above with the description of the Sun entering Aries and apply it deeply into your bones during this new moon moment on April 17th. There are some intense energies combining during this new moon. The Sun and Moon will join at 3 degrees 15 minutes Aries, the very first pada of Ashwini Nakshatra, ruled by the dynamic healing duo, the twin horsemen, the Ashwin Kumars. Ketu is the planetary ruler of this nakshatra, indicating that things begun at this time are under the timing trajectory of Ketu, who is currently backing through the first pada of Purva Falguni Nakshatra, reminding us that We may be striving for fruits, but finding obstacles in our way. We turn inward on new moons, feeling the ebb of mental and physical energy, and looking for the seeds that hold potential. For our April new moon, we are also experiencing two separate planetary configurations. First, we are in that one-sided energy of our first pulse of Kala Amrita Yoga, with all of the visible planets ranging in the signs from Pisces to Cancer, specifically weighted in Pisces, Aries, and Gemini, leaving the feminine, grounded signs of Taurus and Cancer empty. This implies the need for finishing business in Pisces, engineering solutions forward in Aries, and learning as we go in Gemini. Second, we have the applying triple conjunction of Mercury, Mars, and Saturn in Pisces ahead, pushing and pulling our pocketbooks, confidence, and plans. This could trigger strong emotions as we try to keep ourselves on track. In this case, doing less could be worth more than packing too much in and having to untangle or redo in the near future. Venus transits Taurus April 19th through May 14th. During the beginning of April, we find Venus in the early degrees of Aries, a Mars-ruled fire sign, and specifically within the nakshatra of Ashwini until April 5th, when Venus moves to Bharani nakshatra, causing a bit of an energetic shift. When Venus moved into Aries on March 25th, this set up a connection between Venus and Ketu for a couple of weeks during the last week of March and the first days of April. This connection comes through the planetary rulers of the nakshatras each planet occupies, being in an exchange. Ashwini has Ketu as its planetary ruler, hosting Venus for this time, and Purva Falguni has Venus as its planetary ruler, hosting Ketu for a short while longer. This exchange of nakshatras between rejuvenating Venus and transformative Ketu indicates an opportunity to rewire connections, transform relationships, and cause deep breakage that is crucial for reconnection in the future. On the world stage, this could look like breakdown of diplomatic efforts, surprise alliances, and deep healing that comes through complete disconnection. From April 5th through the 16th, Venus dashes through Bharani nakshatra, associated with Venus herself, and connected to the deity Yama, ruler of death, the deepest transformation we encounter in life. Adding all factors up, this section of Venus's transit through Aries is similar to that of Venus through Ashwini. Therefore, the last week of March into the first couple weeks of April could see connective and creative Venus navigating intense and deep transformative energies. When it comes to relationship, artistic pursuits, and business decisions, this could be a good time to edge into the risky terrain as you seek radical change and new starts. On April 19th, while in Kritika Nakshatra, ruled by the fiery Agni and by the sun, Venus bridges from Aries into Taurus, bringing some practical and grounded consequences to our Venus trajectory. Still moving quickly, Venus traverses the pastures of Taurus from April 19th through May 14th, urging us to slow down, find our roots, and reconnect with family, food, and sources of support. As Venus enters Taurus on April 19th, she encounters an exalted moon, beginning to wax after the new moon in Ashwini on April 17th. This could be a signal to move forward with deliberation, paying attention to the simple things like proper nutrition, ample rest, and resource management, while at the same time staying on track for growth while pursuing new projects and connections. any planet transiting a sign that it rules is considered well appointed to accomplish its natural goals. In Venus's case, this Taurus transit fosters creative connections and vitality. With the only aspect beaming into Taurus at this time coming from Saturn in Pisces, we are reminded to learn from old lessons and to avoid revisiting mistakes already made. Exercise caution and care while making connections, favoring a nature-based approach that doesn't rush the good things. Another note on Venus's trajectory through 2026. As mentioned, Venus leads the press of faster moving planets through most of 2026 until the first week in October, when Mercury finally catches up to Venus in the sign of Libra, while at the same time Venus begins a retrograde cycle. As Venus retreats into the bright orb of the Sun through October and November, this could signal a pivot in personal relationships, politics, and the economy during this time, as we see Venus, Mercury, and the Sun shuffle places in the midst of both Venus and Mercury retrograde as October becomes November. Mars, Saturn, Mercury conjunction April 19th through the 21st. As Mars approaches Saturn during the first half of April, we may again feel an increase in pressure, a tension that builds as we know we must apply force, but with a lack of confidence in how this applied force will flow into existing structures. By April 18th, Mars comes within a degree of Saturn, bringing the condition of planetary war into play. Until Mars passes Saturn, Mars loses this war, causing a volatile energy with no outlet for expression. After sunrise on April 19th, things get even more complicated as Mercury approaches Mars, causing another case of planetary war where Mars is winning against Mercury, but still losing against Saturn. As the day ends, Mars passes Saturn, shifting that dynamic, and putting Mercury into war with Saturn. By April 20th, we still have a tight knot, but both Mars and Mercury pass by Saturn together breaking a hold, but still struggling with one another. By the end of day on April 21st, Mercury has cleared Mars and both planets have Saturn in the rearview mirror. The big picture is that the fleet-footed Mercury is overtaking both Mars and Saturn in the same stretch, perhaps easing some of the tension caused by powerful Mars and careful Saturn's confrontation. Still, this small stretch of time could be turbulent and strained. So prepare by resolving to approach situations with curiosity, patience, and calm. All of this tight energy in the final sign of the zodiac, watery Pisces, points toward a struggle involving already drawn hard lines being crossed by a combination of force, maneuverability, and desperate negotiation. Given the current powder keg created by reckless politics being played in the most unstable region of the world, we may see some significant action with immediate consequences and long-term impact during this time. Mercury transits Aries April 29th through May 14th. Mercury reaches dry land on April 29th, hitting the ground running in Aries, urging us to keep our momentum going even though we still have fires to put out and needs for disaster relief calling to us from every quarter. By May 1st, when the full moon in Libra counterbalances the Sun and Mercury stance in Aries, we see a much different scene, with the planets beginning to spread out into contiguous signs, creating a bit more flow and stability than what we experienced through the winter months, which were decorated by eclipses, retrogrades, and consequential conjunctions and stack-ups. The months ahead could see things moving faster, but with a more deliberate directional pull. With the pulsation of Kala Amrita Yoga taking us through July, it would be good to pay attention to the waxing and waning of the moon as it dips from one side to the other of the shadow makers, Rahu and Ketu, who churn our earthly experience with their imminent threat of eclipse, the silent manipulators of light and shadow. The philosophical question of whether we are governed by fate or free will here on earth could come up on a daily basis as we traverse mid-spring to midsummer. While this discussion has been going on for millennia, remember that almost everything about life on earth points toward a study of duality. Don't get stuck on the truth of fate over free will. Rather, take a step back and realize that both may be true, and the role of our stargazing could be to discern which one is operating at any given moment, guiding us toward the dual experiences of sweet surrender and informed action. May 2026 headlines. Full moon in Libra, Swati on May 1st. Mars transits Aries May 10th through June 20th. Venus transits Gemini May 14th through June 8th. Mercury transits Taurus May 14th through the 29th. And the Sun transits Taurus May 14th through June 14th. We have a new moon at 2 degrees Taurus on May 16th. And Mercury transits Gemini from May 29th through June 22nd. Thank you so much for listening to the April forecast. Take care of each other. Stay strong, stay courageous, stay joyful. Until next month. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you are interested in following my work, look for Kerry Shamblin Astrology on YouTube, Spotify, Patreon, Facebook, and Instagram. My monthly forecast is published in written and audio format on my website, planetaryinfluence.com, where you can join my email list or book a one-on-one session with me. My goal is to light your path toward a joyful and liberated life experience.